Okay, so just move my microphone. All right, we're going to start just sitting down. So if you like to come and get on your mat, I'm going to put a blanket underneath my bottom. If it's more comfortable for you to take a bolster or a brick or something a bit higher, please do. Just get something that you can put your sitting bones on and you can be nice and comfortable. And actually, before we cross our legs, take one foot, see if you can get your fingers and push your fingers through your toes. So you spread your toes right out like that. And then just give your foot a big wind around so that we get a little bit of lubrication into that ankle joint. Big massaging movement in one direction and then the other. And then just move your feet from side to side. So kind of twisting your feet. Be gentle, but firm with your feet. And then pull your toes back and then kind of pull your toes forward. So we get a little bit of movement right into the joints there. That's it. So of course, the feet are the foundation of our body and they really do influence how we stand, how our posture is, and therefore how our pelvis sits. Oh, frog in my throat. So give that foot a wriggle and just take your other foot. So fingers kind of thread through the toes if you can. It's a bit tricky on this foot. And then a big rolling massage around the ankle, one direction and then the other. And actually your feet feel really nice when you've been doing this kind of mobilization through all the muscles of the feet, the joints, the bones. That's it, moving in both directions and then back and forward. Obviously, if you've had feet issues, like I've got osteoarthritis in this foot, so I need to be a bit more careful with this one. But still, really good to get that movement through that joint. Good, and then take the feet onto the ground and just kind of window wipe your knees from side to side. So we get right into those hip joints. That's the way. And then just come and sit. And like I said before, wriggle your bottom from side to side. Get your sitting bone sitting on the ground. Allow your tail to be slightly lifted, your pubic bone to be slightly dropping down. And then get your shoulders rolling. That's the way. And then just drop them down and give your head a roll around. A nice massaging roll around one direction and then the other. And then find that sweet spot where your head is just sitting perfectly on top of your neck. And then just kind of look around the room, look around your room and just absorb the colors and the shapes of the things in your room and the ceiling and the walls and the carpet and just allow yourself to settle from all the rushing and all the doing of your day. Just allow yourself to settle now into your physical body and become aware of just your natural breath flowing in and out. Just noticing the coolness of the inhalation and the warmth of the exhalation. And counting 10 breaths. 10 breaths in and out. And just really be with your breath as you count and you feel the gentle rise and the fall of your belly. The ripple of movement through the body as you breathe. And as you exhale, just allowing the lower jaw to unwind from the upper jaw. And just feel yourself kind of settling into this moment in time. So just settling into getting ready to practice yoga, that union of the mind and the body through the breath, The breath is that yoking, that element that brings it all together and slowly moves us into that state of stillness. And once you finish your 10 regular breaths, start to cultivate the Ujjayi breath. So when we do the Ujjayi breath, we have that nice loose jaw. The chin draws in slightly so that we feel like we are getting lifted through the back of the head, a nice long cervical spine here. And we create that kind of constriction on the back of the throat. So we have a sound to the breath and it sounds like the ocean. It sounds like the ocean just rolling up onto a beach and then flowing back down off the beach. So that lovely slight rasping sound, a very soft Darth Vader sound. And this breath energizes us, it calms the mind, it sends oxygen around the body, it really feeds the muscles and helps those muscles to open and to relax and to strengthen. And as you breathe in, feel that you're bringing the breath right up through your spine, right up through the crown of your head. And as you exhale, imagine the breath is flowing back down through your body, grounding through those sitting bones, lengthening on the inhale, right up through the crown of the head, and exhaling. And on your next inhale, hold the top of the inhale, hold the top of the breath for just a beat or two, and then exhale completely, every little bit of air out of the body. And again. And as you breathe like this, just tapping into what it is that your body and your mind needs from tonight's practice in order to feel more balanced. So if you need calming, if you need centering, then approach your practice in that kind of manner. If you need energizing, if you need clarifying, then approach your practice as if that is what you're bringing into your body. In every breath and every movement, see if you can amplify that which will bring you into a more balanced state of who you are, a fuller expression of who you are or what you need to be right now. And then just taking the hands out to the side and slowly breathing in, taking the arms all the way up, stretching the spine, and then just let the breath go, let the hands go. And roll those shoulders. And we'll come to a lateral stretch. Just slide those right fingers away from you. Drop the left hand up and over. Press down through that left hip. Breathe deeply underneath the armpit so that you're stretching the breath into those intercostal muscles between the ribs. And then just looking up and looking down, starting to mobilize through the neck. Good, and let your head just hang here as you take the hand back down and stretch out through those middle fingers and breathe deeply here into these scalenes. And imagine as you're breathing deeply that you're stretching those muscle fibers, that you're sending oxygen around this area. And as you exhale and you press out through those middle fingers, feeling everything just soften away, all the tension that we hold in the shoulder area, feeling it soften away. That's it. And then just roll the head down into the center, give the head a roll around, take the right hand up towards the ceiling and drop the shoulder, and then lengthening up and over as you stretch laterally. Oh, and just open that elbow a little bit more. Feel the lovely curve through the spine. The back loves these lateral stretches. And then again, mobilize your head. Keep smooth, long, noisy breathing. And then take those fingertips down and breathe into the neck. So you feel like you're sending the breath where it needs to go in order to just to release. You might need to do little pulses with your shoulder, little release pulses as you stretch your fingertips away, breathing deeply. Good. Come back into the center. Take your fingertips onto your shoulders and do big circles with your elbows. So we start to get a nice bit of movement through those shoulder joints, lubricating those shoulder joints. That's it. And then bring those elbows back and then push them forward. As you push them forward, tuck your tail under, look at your tummy button, and then inhale, opening the chest, and exhale, rounding, dropping the chin, inhaling, vibrant energy through the body, exhaling, release. Inhaling, waking up the central nervous system, exhaling, closing it down so that you're feeling like you're playing with the light and the dark, the opening and the close. Beautiful. Now take your arms right out to the sides, pull back through your middle fingers, and then do little circles backwards. So we start to wake up those muscles between your shoulders, those rhomboids that hold our shoulders in place. Drop your chin slightly. That's it. Good. And then just take your hands behind you, interlacing your hands and then lifting the chest, and start to lift your hands away from your body. Deep stretch into these pectoral muscles here. Take a nice deep breath in. And breathing out. coming down, taking one hand onto your knee, just a gentle stretch up and around, introducing a twist on one side and a twist on the other side. Good, and repeating that. So we rinse the spine out. And again. That's it. Take your legs out in front of you. Big rotations through those ankles and the wrists. And then pull your toes back, pull your hands back. So you're pushing out through the palms of the hands. And then squeeze and squeeze and squeeze as hard as you can. And then pull back so we get a bit of blood flow through to the hands and the feet. That's it. And again. And then just kind of window wipe from the hip joints here with your feet. And if you want to, you can wave with your hands as well. Hello. That's the way. All right, let's just come on to hands and knees now. So you can take your blanket out of the way. Come on to hands and knees and have a little play with your wrists. If you have been at the computer a lot, your wrists can get really congested. So just do nice wide hands and turn the hands around. Get a little stretch out through the back of the wrists. And then shake them. And come into your tabletop. So we want to be initially perfectly aligned like a table. So see if you can draw the base of the rib cage slightly in. Imagine you have a tail and the tail is sticking right back, straight back, and the crown of your head is lengthening all the way forward. Your chin's tucked in. So just here, we're relatively switched on. We're not kind of collapsing. We're relatively switched on through the corsetory muscles here. Knees directly underneath pelvis. Now, just imagine that tail, which is sticking straight up behind you, is lifting up. You're kind of showing the tail off. You're lifting the tail up. And then you're tucking the tail right under. So just focus on the pelvis to start, and then lift the tail right up behind you, and then tuck it. Now, marry the movement with your breath. So we inhale deeply, ujjayi breathing, and then exhale completely. And as we do so, we tuck the tail. And then start to increase the length of each breath, in and out. And as you do so, allow that movement to ripple through the spine, right up to the crown, and then right up into your chest and into the top of the head this way. Good. Letting the movement be orchestrated by your breath, the ujjayi breath. So this becomes absolutely a moving meditation, just slow, luxurious movement as we get the spine starting to wake up. Good. And again. And this time, as you lift your tail behind you, leave it there and then just start to swirl your hips. So if you've got a big tail, you're swirling it behind you, showing it off. And then once you get your swirly pelvis action going on, allow your shoulders to get a little bit groovy, a little bit juicy as well. So they start to dance, and then the elbows might start to dance as well. So the whole torso and the arms are dancing around. Lovely kind of barrel-like movement, swirling, swirling, swirling. Beautiful. Take the hands out in front of you, wrists off the ground. Stretch your chest down to the ground for a moment. So let the wrists be buoyant and let the stretch come right up underneath your armpits here. Good. Rolling those shoulders away from the ears, and then come back up again and take your tail in the other direction, swirling it around. So all of this movement, all this circular movement is just amazing for getting good vascular flow of blood round, or nutrients around our pelvic organs. And then allow those elbows and those shoulders to join in as well. So we start to get just a nice release through the whole torso, spine, pelvic area. That's the way. And this time come down with your elbows wide and your hands together as if you're praying, and drop the chest down. And just give your wrists a little twist from side to side. As you exhale, drop the chest even more, stick the bum up even more. You might need to move your head to one side. Beautiful. And then leaving your tail up, tucking your toes now, coming into downward facing dog. So as you come into down dog, first of all, focus on lifting your tail right up as if it's been pulled up to the intersection of the wall and your ceiling. Roll your shoulders away from your ears. And once you're there with this nice straight spine, start to drop one heel and then the other. So we get a bit of a massage into those calf muscles and into your Achilles heels. And I want you to stretch your toes out and kind of dance over your feet. So you massage those ankles. Try and give your feet a massage as well. Give your head a shake from side to side. That's it. And then just dropping down onto your knees and lift yourself up. Roll your shoulders back. Take your hands onto your hips just here. Tuck your toes. Press your knees into the ground. And then just imagine you have a string from the heart center here and a string from your pubic bone, and you're just being slowly winched up towards the ceiling. So feel a stretch through the front line of the body and a little bit of a back bend. It's more about getting space between the vertebrae. So smooth breath here, as if the breath is coming right up and over to your shoulders. Elbows come together. Put a big smile on your face. Press your knees down into the ground. Stretch these quads as well. Good. And then imagine the string from the crown of your head is just pulling you up towards the ceiling. So you drop the base of the rib cage in. Now we want to stay here where head is standing on top of your shoulders and your pelvis. And just take your foot forward. So take your left foot forward. So we come into a proposal position. And then I'm just going to get you to lengthen fingertips up towards the ceiling. So right hand towards the ceiling. Press the right knee down. So we're creating a big long line here. Keep pressing your knee into the ground as you stretch your fingertips up. And you imagine these muscle fibers are just flowing, stretching, opening. Breathe deeply. Keep lifting, keep pressing, keep lifting, keep pressing. So we get this kind of pulse, lengthening the muscle fibers, this kind of fascial system underneath the skin surface. And then with your hand on the outside of your knee, give yourself a tiny tilt over to the side. So I'll just turn around so you can see me better. A tiny tilt over to the side. You keep pressing down through the knee. So we're lengthening all through those psoas, through the hip flexors, right up into the side waist, shoulder away from ears. That's it. And then just lengthen up and drop that hand. Let your pelvis just come back a bit if it's tucked under it all. And let those front toes drift forward and then draw yourself into a lunge. And we want to really lengthen here into these hip flexors. So press the back foot into the ground. Roll those shoulders away from your ears. Lift the rib cage up. Take a nice deep breath, an energizing breath in. Sigh the breath out. And again, deep breath. Sigh the breath out. Take your left hand down and open up with your right hand. So now we want to come into this open twist. So we get a gentle stretch here into the inner thigh area. This is wonderful for all of us. There's no constriction through the pelvis. So a lovely open twist really wakes up the body, and we just get a little bit of good stretch through these inner thigh muscles that for a lot of us are a bit tight. Good. And let's take this top hand and give it a big swish, mobilizing that shoulder joint. And then up and just opening the shoulders, gently pressing back with your elbow into your knee. That's the way. And then come down and let's just walk these fingertips back and bring the toes with us. If you've got a brick nearby, you can always put your hand on the brick so that you're getting a little bit higher. Or if you've got the couch nearby, do that. What we're looking to do is to avoid rounding here. Instead, see if you can lift your tail, keep your lumbar curve, and draw your shoulders back. So it doesn't matter how bent your knee is. Over time, as we focus on lifting those tails, the leg will get to be a little bit straighter. The tricky thing is bringing your toes back. So if your foot's like that, you don't get the same stretch. So bring your toes back. Imagine your little toe has a string around it, and you're pulling that string, getting into those calves and hamstrings. Maybe give a rub to the underside of your legs so you get a bit of heat into those hamstrings. Beautiful. And then draw yourself forward, hands down, framing each side of the foot, and take yourself back into downward facing dog. And again, just press those heels down one at a time. Get some movement through the calf muscles. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. So quite often we see this, but we're not in any kind of plank. Instead, it's straight back, shoulders away from ears. Doesn't matter if knees are here. Eventually, you'll get the heels down. But this is what we're looking for, like a mountain lifting up through the tail towards the sky, as opposed to being forward like that. Okay, let's drop to the knees and do the other side. So my right foot forward this time. And again, we're looking for that long line. So we press the left knee down into the ground, send the hand up towards the ceiling. I'm just going to turn around to face you so you can see me do this. Press down, lift up. Press down, lift up. So we very slowly start to stretch those muscle fibers all through the side body, up and down, 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 and then a little gentle bend over to the side. Keep pressing down through your knee. This is quite a strong opening through these hip flexors. So keep breathing deeply. Just go to where your maximum is, pause, and then see if you can breathe a little bit deeper. Open a little bit more, pause, and then a little bit more. So we're gently opening the side body. Exhale, draw yourself back, and then just inch those front toes forward. Press the back foot into the ground. So we create that long stretch that comes right up here now, right up through the front body, and then arms up towards the ceiling. Drop the shoulders away from the ears, and then lift the heart center, and then drop the shoulders, and then lift the heart center. It's almost like your rib cage is drawing away from the pelvis, really opening up the whole of that waist area. Deep, full breath in. Gather all the stuff and then let it go. And then just pull your femurs back into your pelvis, hands down right here, and then just open the chest. So we're pushing the elbow into the inside of the knee to create that stretch right here into these adductor muscles. They go right into the pelvic floor. So a nice open twist. You can feel a squeezy sensation between those shoulders. That's it. And then taking the hands down and walking your pelvis back and bringing your toes with you. So hamstring stretch on this side. And like I said, it's easier if you have a bit of height under your hands. So if you're finding that you're needing to round, if you're taking your hands on the ground, just take your hands up and focus on that feeling of somebody behind you pulling your tail back. So as you push your tail back, then we start to get a bit more length through the hamstrings, and you'll feel it. So give it a rub, especially right above the knee, and then right up beside your bottom, so that we get into those insertion points of those hamstrings. And pull the toes right back. Good. Whew. And then coming forward onto your mat, keep your knees bent, just walk your feet forward, hands just above the knees. So our behind is sticking behind us, starting off as if we're in down dog. So lovely straight spine, draw the shoulder blades together. So we strengthen the rhomboids initially, have that same sensation that we had when our hands are out in front of, on the side of us. So chin drawing in. Now, allow your head to drop for a moment. And then inhale, come back, but this time push your feet down and out in your mat. So we stretch into those hamstrings again, base of the rib cage coming in, crown of the head lengthening forward, and then release it all. Exhaling. Inhale, come back into tabletop. So we're looking to strengthen the back of the body, strengthen the core muscles, lengthen those hamstrings. Feet need to be alive, so stretch those toes out. A little bit of a lift through the inner arches. We're not collapsing the knees in. We're nice and vibrant through those legs. Release the head again. And then draw yourself back. Very good. One more time here. Now let it be floppy. So let your hands be floppy. Let your head be floppy. Give it a shake. And then push the floor away and very, very slowly roll yourself up. So you stack the vertebra, one on top of the other. Come up with your hands. Now see if you can push the floor away with your toes and come right up onto your tippy toes. Sorry, my hands have disappeared. right up onto your tippy toes. So you pull your fingers and your toes as far away from each other as possible. Shoulders are away from the ears. And kind of do walking from one tippy toe to the other. Take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, take your feet back down. Slowly go crash like a wave down. Push the floor away. This time we're just going to keep those feet really pressing into the ground as we take the hands out. Breathe in and then crash down. Slowly roll up. So this is just this wonderful release through the body. Turn the body around to the left. Crash down. Right elbow picks you up. Press firmly through that right foot so we get a lateral stretch up and over to the other side. Left elbow picks you up. So you can feel it's kind of like being a puppet on strings. You're being kind of pulled up by the elbow. Press down through the foot. Up and over. A drapey sensation all the way up and then down. Good. Now just coming onto your mats. Nice wide feet. Pressing from one side to the other and then taking your elbows across the body into your cloudy hands. So the lovely Tai Chi movement. And we're just slowing things down now, becoming very deliberate and slow and fluid at the same time. So deliberate with the feet, but the hands are fluid. The shoulders lift and roll. The breath becomes steady again. Keep your body flowing with your breath, the rhythm of your breath. So kind of ocean-like, flowing, ebbing with the breath. And then we'll turn that into the big swish. So keep your knees bending and then straightening, bending and then straightening. And then just let your hands really get wide. Really stretch your fingertips as far apart as possible and push your hands through the air, just as if you're pushing your hands through water. So it feels almost like there's a drag, and that's going to help just wake up the central nervous system. Wonderful. Now, let's do that energizing discus throw. Stretch the body and then release it down. Stretch the body, release it down. Breathing in. Breathing out. As you breathe out, you can go, if you want to. Just chop it, Chop stuff away, Whatever you need, in this moment in time to chop away, just let it be gone, That's it. Getting rid of it. All that energy is being obliterated, with your chop, And again. Now come back and just give yourself a tap through the upper back. So that's that thoracic mobility that we want to make sure we keep. That's the way. And then dropping down into your goddess stance. Behind is behind you. We'll do a bit more on these adductor muscles. So with your bottom behind you, swish your tail, swish your tail. And just start to take your bottom right over to the sides and nearly straighten your leg. Nearly straighten. That's what we're aiming for. That's it, inviting in that deep stretch through those inner thigh muscles, and then pause with the tail to one side, and then just pull your toes back. So a little bit like when we're on the ground, but this time feeling it a bit more on the inner thigh here. So give your leg a little rub there. Where are we here? Little rub, just like so. Good. And then swoosh that tail to the other side. Bring your toes back. Rub the inner thigh again. Good. Beautiful. Coming back. And let's just release those shoulders. So while we're here, hands in, fingers in, heels of the hands on the thighs. Drop one shoulder. This time roll the other shoulder down and then up. So again, we're in a barrel. We're sort of circling from one shoulder draping, then the other shoulder drapes. One shoulder drape, the other shoulder drapes, like that, a big circle, and then the other way. Drop the shoulder, lift the shoulder, drop the shoulder, lift the shoulder, swirl the pelvis around, swirl the pelvis around. That's it. Come back into the center, just drop that right shoulder, squeeze it. Inhale, just drop the left shoulder, squeeze it. Inhale again, exhale, Dropping, squeezing the one shoulder, then the other. And then come back up into the center. Lift your tail behind you. Cat and cow, but while we're standing. So we inhale, pelvic floor is lengthened. We exhale, we draw in and up. We inhale to open, we exhale to lift. Inhale to drop those shoulders, by the way. Inhale to lift those sitting bones and tuck the tail. So drop the shoulders right down your back. Don't let them do this. Nice, open chest. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathe in, you leave your tail here. Let your hips sway from side to side. Just come up as you take your hips from side to side. Now we're looking for a good bit of movement through the side waist, where so many of us get tight as we age. So little lifts side to side, and then leave your hip over to that side. Take your pubic bone forward, hip to the other side, bum behind you. Hip to the side, pubic bone forward, hip to the side, bum behind you. Then make that movement a little bit more fluid around the face of the clock. And then really fluid and just kind of let it dance. We want to make sure that as we age, these psoas muscles don't get too constricted. We don't get all tight around the lower back. We get this good vascular flow around the pelvic organs, around the pelvic floor. And the circling is just a really, really wonderful way to ensure that we keep everything mobile, which is what we want. This motion is lotion, as they say, in one direction and then the other, big circles. Now, if you are feeling like you want to raise the heart rate, take the arms out to the side, shoulders dropping away from the ears, and see if you can, at the same time, take your hands back in those little circles. If that doesn't work for your brain, just kind of push the hands back while you're circling. That's it. And then take the arms up, drop the shoulders. My brain wasn't coping with that actually. So big circles while your hands are up. So we're taking the rib cage away from the pelvis. Very good. That's it. And then drop the hands down and take a deep breath in. Side out. Push the floor away as you come up. So we start to get that feeling of the heels pushing into the floor, activating the back line of the body, the bum, the gluteal muscles, and the hamstrings as we come up. Breathing in, and then take the hands down. Good. Take your toes in like so. So big toes in, little toe edge of your feet are pushing down and out on your mat. And then just turning out with your right foot, turn a little bit more in with your left foot. Now make sure your feet are wide and they are well placed on your mat. So we want to have the heel of the front foot intersecting the arch of the back foot. And it really does matter where we place our feet. So don't be lazy with your feet. Be on it with your feet. Keep your legs straight for this one. And then just take the arms out and drop the shoulders. Good. So looking out through your right fingers, as we stretch those forward, your left hip pulls back. So we're kind of doing this in the opposite direction, stretching forward and stretching back with the back hip until we feel a stretch in that front leg here. And then wind your back hip forward slightly as if you are a train wheel here until you feel the stretch going down into your calf. And then just take the right hand wherever it lands, stack the left shoulder on top of the right shoulder, and then send the fingertips up towards the ceiling. If that's not good for your shoulder, hand on hip, and just let your elbow be up. And we're looking to open the chest and create a twist through the upper back. So see if you can drop your bottom shoulder slightly in as you draw your top shoulder slightly back. And that's going to increase the stretch here. So keep breathing, just move into it gently, see where it feels nice, and then back off a little bit and breathe into it a bit deeper. Good. Now draw the chin in. So we have this long line from the tail through to the crown of the head. And then just looking down, looking back up. Good. That's it. Take the hand right up and overhead if you can. So we want to push down firmly through the little toe edge of our back foot. And now we're getting that length right up through the outside of the leg, right through the hip, right through the side waist, right out through to those fingertips. Deep, full breath, releasing breath. If it feels good for your practice, take that top hand behind you, open the chest even more, looking up towards the ceiling. Full, invigorating breaths. Good. Bend the front knee, slide your back foot back slightly so we can come into side angle, forearm on thigh. Now the front knee needs to be directly on top of that ankle there. So this is a nice 90-degree angle if you take away my flary pants. Now open the chest slightly. You're going to feel the stretch here through those inner thighs. Hand can come up and overhead or wrap behind you, holding onto your pants here, maybe even getting onto your inner thigh, and open the chest. If it feels nice and you're fine here, try dropping fingertips down towards the ground, pressing the elbow into the inside of your knee so we create an even deeper stretch through those inner thighs. This is a bit stronger here, so make sure you don't keep collapsing. If you're very hypermobile, don't keep collapsing. Instead, pull your femurs back into your pelvis. Keep the strength there. So maybe you're here, maybe you're even doing a full bind if that's in your practice at the moment. Good. And then just unwind from there. Start to straighten your front leg and just kind of walk your fingertips out in front of you. Again, if you've got a brick close by, you could put your fingers on the brick, which is going to just take you up a little bit, makes it a little bit more accessible. Now bend your knees to start off and imagine that person is behind you holding your tail again, and they're pulling your tail back and up as your fingers want to stretch forward. Now take your hands about shoulder width, maybe a bit wider than that apart. Roll the shoulders away from your ears and just let your head drape. So we're creating a sensation as if you're on the rack. You're being really lengthened through the spine. We want to breathe deeply here. Give your head a shake. Pressing down and out with your feet. So we have a little lift through these inner arches. They're not collapsing in. A little lift here. So knees might need to stay bent. That's fine. If your legs are straightened, just don't collapse inwards. Have that integrity through your feet. Alrighty, let's take the hands underneath the chest. Heel toe your feet towards each other. And then leave your toes out as you come into that frog position, that malasana. So we want to either have the elbows on the inside of the knees and hands together like so, or back to the forearms onto the thighs, like that. So whichever position you're in, what we don't want to do is tuck the tail and collapse through the lower back. We want to keep a little bit of that lumbar curve here. And this just allows all the organs to drop forward onto the pubic bone and lower belly and not straight down through the pelvic floor. So here we are, stretching those inner thighs again, getting good vascular flow through the pelvis. While we're here, see if you can do a little pelvic floor lift. So squeeze pelvic floor muscles in. Imagine you're kind of stopping yourself passing wind here, and then soften, and then do that again, and then soften. Now we're going to come up on an exhale, pushing the floor away. So slowly push the floor away with your heels coming up like so. So really get the back of the body working hard. Drop back down again. That's it. So we're like a rocket. We're pushing the floor away to come up and then dropping down. So come up on an exhale. Ha. Now see, I'm keeping our torso as straight as possible. So my legs are doing all the work. Down. Exhaling, pushing through those heels. Toes are relatively light. Spread those toes. Keep the torso working. Nice and tall. And again. And last one. Whee. Good. And take those hands down. So I've got a bit of mat drift going on here. So take those toes back in again. You're about 1 meter apart with your feet. Just going to grab a quick sip of water. So coming into Trikonasana on this side, which is one of those poses that is just so good to do every week because it really opens up the whole body. Let's just like downward facing dog. So toes in, little toe edge, pressing down. Make sure your feet feel vibrant. Make sure your legs feel vibrant. Arms out, shoulders relaxing, fingertips really alive. Turning out through that left foot, you probably need to turn your right foot in a little bit more as well. Now stretch the front hand out as you pull your bottom behind you, stretching the hip behind you. Roll the hip slightly like a train wheel, and then just drop the hand wherever it lands. Top fingers stretching up towards the ceiling, shoulders stacking on top of bottom shoulder, like so. And then just start to mobilize into your full expression of triangle pose. So I like to do a little bend through the bottom shoulder that allows me to take the top shoulder back a bit more. Mobilize the head. That's it. If you need to, hand on hip, that's a deep stretch as well. It's just not quite so much pressure on the shoulder. And then maybe have a play with taking the hand over the head, shoulder, draw away from ear. So don't try and collapse here, or don't do this kind of thing, but draw the shoulder away. And you can see this really very strong line down through the back leg, pressing down through that little toe edge of the back foot. These are called lines of energy that we are running through the body. Good. Oh, take the hand down, bend into the front knee, send your back foot back so we create a wider stance with the legs. Try not to collapse down. Keep it relatively strong as if you're still pulling those thigh bones back into the pelvis, and then come into this side angle, Parsvakonasana it's called. So either fingers on the ground, elbow pushing your knee back, hand up or overhead. Maybe you're coming to a full bind, or a partial bind where the fingertips just kind of hold onto your t-shirt or onto, you can just see my fingertips here appearing. Yeah, so this is quite deep. This is the starting point for this pose. So come here first, and then just see if there's another option that you feel comfortable taking. And the cue is your breath still rhythmic. Of course, it will get a little bit shallower when you're in the deeper version, but we want to keep it rhythmic and smooth. Good, and then taking the hand down, stretching that front leg. Now let's come back into that full lengthening stretch through the spine. So it's like we're a big tripod, and your shoulders are drawing away from your ears, and you're pulling those fingertips away, and you're pulling your tail back. Breathing in, breathing out. And again, full breath. Now walk your hands underneath your chest. If you've got a brick, again, quite handy to have a brick underneath your hands here. Leave your left hand on the ground, right hand onto your hips, open the chest, lifting the elbow up towards the ceiling. Now if that's comfortable, you can take your hand all the way up towards the ceiling as well. So again, a rinsing twist through the upper back, smooth breath. Release the right hand down. Same thing on the left side. So either elbow up and hand on the pelvis, or if it feels okay in your shoulder, fingertips up towards the ceiling. You can just feel that wonderful rinse out and stretch here through these pectoral muscles as well. Now come back down. If you need to heel toe your feet a little bit closer, please do. I'm going to get you to drape down. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. Head towards the ground, hands on hips, elbows together, or if it feels comfortable, you can always take your hands together, interlace them, and then draw the hands up towards the ceiling like that. And if you're here and it feels okay, start to press your feet down and out, creating a kind of waterfall effect as you let all the tension pour out of your shoulders, right out through the crown of your head, feeling that lovely stretch through the spine. Take a deep breath in, sigh the breath out, and again. If you're in this version, just try taking the whole of your shoulder girdle up towards the ceiling. So you're not kind of collapsing too much with your shoulders. You're actually pulling your hands up towards the ceiling. That's right. Now hands come down, bend your knees, heel toe your feet so that they're now hip width apart and your toes are facing straight forward. Now take your hands on top of your knees for a moment and imagine your tail is now being pulled down towards the ground. So your sitting bones are starting to head down and at the same time lift your chest up. So come into a zigzag shape. Now, most of my weight is in my heels at the moment. And if I do that, you can see my knees are directly on top of ankles. So don't let your knees go forward. and be rounded here. Instead, knees on top of ankles and just your behinders behind you. So come up a bit higher, take the arms out in front of you. So we're in now Utkatasana, power pose, also known as chair pose. So hold it here for a couple of breaths. You can feel your glutes working, hamstrings working, your calves are working, pressing down through the heels. We're going to come up on an exhale. So as we exhale, you push the floor away, you squeeze those sitting bones into, so your bum muscles into your sitting bones, drop back down. Exhaling, push the floor away, come down. Good. Imagine you've got a ball in your hands, and as you exhale, you're kind of pushing the ball high or maybe through the hoop. You're coming up on an exhale because that is helping us to get a natural lift and action through not just the pelvic floor muscles, but also into those deep corset-like muscles around the spine. Support the spine. And again. And 2 more. Push the floor away and push the floor away. Take those hands down and just take some big circles with the hands behind you, like so. Good. And just give your hips a little mobilization from one side to the other. Now we're going to come against the wall and do the getting tall against the wall, so we can get into that really lovely aligned posture before we add some balances. So take yourselves against the wall and look down at your feet. If you've got your brick close by, just grab it actually. Grab your brick so that's not too far away. All right, so look down at your feet. So we want big, stretched out, hobbit-like feet. So just like we stretched our fingers out when we put our hands down for cat and cow and for downward facing dog, let's open our feet really, really wide. Imagine you've just put your fingertips through your toes like we did on the ground, and wriggle your feet from side to side, and then settle them into the ground. So it really does feel like all 4 corners of your feet are pressing down into the ground, but we do have a little bit of a lift through those inner arches, so try not to collapse through the inner arches. We need a good inch behind our heels, so there's space for our bottom, and we would need our feet to be facing straight forward, and they need to be hip width apart, so not the outside of your hips here, but through the hip bones, knees, and middle toes. So your bottom is sticking into the wall. You're actually kind of pushing your sacrum here into the wall. So it feels odd for some of us, I know. So push your bottom back, keep your knees a little bit soft. So that means if you are in the habit of locking your knees and hyperflexing, you need to soften that a little bit so that you actually can use the muscles above the knee and below the knee and not just hang in your ligaments. So slight softness on the back of the legs. Also slight softness here in those hip flexors. Now when we lock the knees, our pelvis tends to go forward and we get, it's flat there. So we want to have soft knees, behind us, a little bit of a dip just here. Now take your shoulder blade, the whole shoulder girdle here, and press it into the wall without letting your pelvis pop out. So that's the difficult bit. Shoulders back, bum back. Now draw the chin in and take the ridge of the back of your head against the wall as well. And then roll one shoulder and then the other shoulder and turn the palms forward and place the hands back into the wall. That's the way. Now we need to drop the base of the rib cage as well because that might have popped out. So I want you to slide those floating ribs downwards towards your spine. So this is the bit where it feels really weird because we're trying to press back with the shoulders. This is dropping, bum is dropping back, head is dropping back and sliding up, arms are pushing back, feet are pushing down and slightly out. So let's just go through the whole checklist. Feet starting off, down and out, behind is pushing back, arms are pushing back, press back between your shoulders. That's going to help the base of the ribcage drop. Keep pushing back through the base of the ribcage and then slide your head up the wall. Keep breathing. Down and out with the feet, back with the bum, back with the arms, back between the shoulders, back and up with the head. Push everything back, push everything down. and then just move away from the wall. Roll the shoulders, roll the head, and then place the head bang on top of your neck. And just spend a couple of breaths here where you're in Tadasana. This is mountain pose, Tadasana. And this is the foundation for all of our standing poses. And we just want to try to move towards being in this good alignment all the time, or at least feeling when we're not in that alignment and being able to draw ourselves back into good alignment. Because this really does make such a difference in how well we breathe and how our diaphragm and our pelvic diaphragm operate together. It really affects our thoughts, because how our posture is, if our shoulders are rounded, etc., that really does constrict our breathing. It can put us into a feeling of anxiety, which actually feeds into our thought pattern. So the way you stand can very profoundly affect everything, physiologically and psychologically. So smooth, big breaths in this lovely, lengthened standing posture. Now we're going to try and stay like this as we add in some hip strengthening. So take your brick or your dictionary, whatever you've got to stand on, and take your left foot on it. And we want to make sure the heel is on the foot. It doesn't matter so much about the toes. So make sure your heel is on your height, whatever you've got. And then come and stand back in your Tadasana, your mountain. And you need to have your feet initially even. So obviously one foot's just floating in space here. And now we're going to let the hips drop down, so the foot drops down towards the ground, and then you want to push your left foot as hard as you can into the brick in order for your right hip to lift back up again. And then you drop the foot down and you push the foot into the brick and the hip lifts up. So you're going to start to feel it here on that left hip soon. This is where all the action's happening on this side. We are pressing down, so the side lifts up and down again. Pressing down, the side lifts up. So it's like there is a seesaw across the pelvis. And so yes, we want to mobilize, but also we need to have these muscles strong so that we don't have our toes drifting out. It's really a fantastic exercise to do for your posture. All right, one more. My goodness, I can feel that one. And last one. Whee! And then coming off the brick, give that standing leg a little shake and take the other foot on. Again, see if you can come back into a really good alignment to start off. And then drop the foot and press down. So imagine you've just got this kind of pulley system going on. As you press that heel into the brick, the other side is lifting up. Whee, like that. Pushing down. No doubt your right hip is starting to feel it now. Whee, that's it. And again. And one more. Whoa. And then come down and just give that leg a little shake. Fantastic. Well done. All right. So next, I'm going to get you to either do the crocodile so that we're using our core strength, or if that doesn't feel right for you tonight, I want you instead just to practice being balanced on one leg and just bring your knee up and then drop it and bring your knee up and drop it. Okay, so one or the other, we're working on our balance as well as really strengthening into that standing leg. So take your right foot behind you, take your hand onto your bottom, just give a couple of taps here so we can feel that butt cheek switching on, and then open your arms up, take a deep breath in, and then exhale, knee up. Squeeze those hands together, squeeze the knee up. Inhale, open the body. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale to open. Exhale, squeeze. Good. As we do this, we are drawing the tummy button in and up. And again. And whoo, good. And two more on the side. That's the way. So that standing leg, just release it by giving yourself that Elvis twist. So we are focusing on the hip joint, moving inwards like that, and then add the hands. Just get a nice twist through that side waist. Beautiful. On the other side. So stand in your Tadasana. Open your arms. Make sure that glute is switched on. Give that foot a little tap up and down. And then as we exhale, lift the knees, snap those jaws shut. Open the arms and exhale, snap. And so good. And again. Let's do two more. One, slow, two, and release it. Coming over to the wall, hands on the wall. Take your right ankle on top of your left knee and just draw your tail behind you. Now you need to start to bend into that left knee as well. So you're sort of in a squat. And as we drop the knee out to the side, we get that big stretch into those glutes, right into the hip area, into the thigh. And if you're comfortable here, you can always slide your hands off and take yourself into a balance. So just taking the hands at the heart center, pressing the hands together, breathing smoothly. The more you bend your standing leg, the more you let the knee drop out to the side, the deeper the stretch. That's the way, good. And then just take that right foot behind you, press down through the heel, and just give yourself a good stretch through the hamstrings and the calf muscles, almost like you're pushing the wall away. Good, and then coming up onto those back toes, lift the hand, last stretch through the front line of the body. Beautiful, and then swapping sides. So starting off with the right foot on the ground, left ankle on top, dropping down into that squatting position. Again, make sure knee doesn't drop forward. You always want to keep the knee on top of the ankle, sitting bones lifted, stretching now into that left hip, the left glute. If you're comfortable here, maybe taking that into a balance. And if you're balancing, focusing on the breath and a softness around your eyes. Really soften those little muscles around the eyes. And then taking that foot behind you, stretch the calves, stretch those hamstrings. You can push the wall away, shoulders dropping away from ears. And then drawing right up onto the toes, heel is up, and big full body stretch. Very good. Now take your bottom onto the wall. Take your feet right away from the wall, bend the knees. Take your sitting bones and kind of walk them up the wall like so until you feel a bit of a stretch through the hamstrings. And then you fold yourself down and hold onto the elbows and take a deep breath in. Sigh the breath out. And we're going to stay here for at least 5 breaths. So just start to shake your head. Feel that lovely heaviness of the arms. Closing the eyes and see if you can focus on the little moment at the end of the exhale when nothing's happening. Good. So this is a wonderful way to stimulate the pituitary gland. It really helps to calm the whole system down, just to be in a forward fold, a relaxed forward fold. And when your body says, that's fine, that's enough, just allow yourself to come down onto the ground, knees either wide or together, whatever's comfortable for you, and fold yourself forward and either stacking your fists and letting your forehead just rest on your fists like so. Or if you can reach the ground with your forehead, do so and take the hands behind you and allow the whole of your back to melt. It can be really nice if you've got your brick close by to place it between your bottom and your calves. If you're finding that your bottom straight down on your legs is a bit much, then just prop your bottom up and come down. And we're looking to take again 5 breaths where you are focusing on the exhale. And every time you inhale, imagine you have wings that are spreading and opening. And as you exhale, those wings are coming back down. You can feel a spreading sensation through your spine, through your back. opening into the back lobes of your lungs as you breathe in and out. Again, focusing on that little gap at the end of the exhale where nothing's happening. And as you breathe in, just feeling your belly pressing against your thighs. Let everything be soft, softening, just settling, just calming everything down now. Alrighty, and slowly take the hands under the shoulders, pressing yourself up. Now, if you get your pillows and your props ready for the last resting pose, which is goddess pose, Supta Baddha Konasana. So I've got a couple of bolsters here. And then get your strap. So those are ready. Just come and lie on your back for a moment. We'll just release the back and the hamstrings before we come into our final pose. So come onto your back like so. Initially, take knees up into your chest, hands on knees, big circles. So as we circle here, we just do one last big release through those hip joints, one direction and then the other. And then taking your strap, place it around the ball of your right foot. Press the heel away from you. Shoulders are nice and relaxed here. So you want to press the heel away and then push the back of the pelvis into the ground. Then press the heel away and push the pelvis into the back of the ground. Now see if you can lengthen out your left leg. So we also release these hip flexors. And then maybe even taking the hand above your head like so. Breathing in, sighing the breath out. And it's just a gentle movement. Your foot is doing the work by pressing the heel away. Your strap is holding you there, but you're not kind of pulling on your strap. You're just allowing the leg to press through the heel and then press back through the pelvis. Press through the heel, press back through the pelvis. Good. And then bend that knee, draw the chest, sorry, draw the chin, the knee right towards your, not towards your chin, towards your chest. And then swap sides. Initially pressing the heel away. Get that little bit of movement through the hamstrings. You push the heel away from you. So the heel away, you push the pelvis down. So you do this kind of flowing movement through your leg and maybe taking arms above and toes right out. So you stretch the whole body. Bending the knee into the chest. That's it. And then both feet in your strap, nice and wide with your feet. Bend the knees and coming into supported child pose. Sorry, supported baby pose. We just did child pose. This is baby pose. So knees are bent, heels are up, toes are back. Your lower belly is soft here. Your groin is soft. And you might even just want to kind of rock from side to side. So we massage across the spine. A little massaging action into the lower back. Smooth breath. That's the way. Okay, so let's just take the strap away and take your feet wide. Do the window wiper drop from side to side with your knees again, releasing those hips. Gentle twist into the lower back. And then with Supta Baddha Konasana, reclining goddess pose, you want to have a pillow underneath your knees, so your knees can just drop out to the sides, and one or more pillows underneath your back, and you want to have them long ways so that your spine can be supported, but your chest opens. And I always take a blanket underneath my head. Now, If I was doing this in class, I would prop you all with bricks underneath the bolster so it's a bit higher, like so. So if you've got an extra pillow, slide it under here as well. So you're just a little bit more on a slope, because this flatness can be a bit much for some of us. So just go with what is comfortable. Keep propping with extra pillows or extra things from your couch if it's not initially comfortable. So we want to have our bottom on the ground, our bolster or our pillow, whatever we've got, quite close in towards us. We just lie back, and you can see my shoulders are opening here. I'm going to take an extra blanket underneath the head, so chin's tucking in and the head is just slightly above the shoulders. And then your hands are up and your hands are just supported by the ground. If you've got a ton of pillows around, it's really nice to have your hands supported by pillows as well. And feet just flop out to the side. That opens the pelvis. This is an amazing posture to get into for good digestion, for good vascular flow through the pelvic organs, and just to relax this whole groin area. If you're holding tension, then we want to just be able to relax and release and therefore replenish. So come into your pose, get nice and comfortable. Gently close your eyes and see if you can let your back just melt into your props, as if you're wax, just feeling that lovely melting effect of your back softening, your legs flopping out to the sides. And you can release any hold over your breath, any ujjayi breath, and just come into a natural breath, flowing breath in and out. In and out, and just adjust yourself so that you are really comfortable. And make sure you're warm. And now take a really deep breath in and hold the top of your breath. And then as you sigh the breath out, just imagine that any residual worries or cares are flowing out of you as if a wave is just washed down through the body. And now with your eyes closed, just imagine that you are lying in a beautiful, tranquil, and very lush valley. And in this valley, there is a sparkling, clear river flowing, twisting right down through the center of this valley. And the grass that surrounds this river is vibrant green and it's velvety soft. And just imagine that there are flowers, fragrant flowers, all along the banks of this river. And there are beautiful, big, wise-looking trees with fabulous leaves, and the sun is dappling through these leaves. And you feel that there is an amazing peace and tranquility to this place. And just imagine that there is a small raft underneath one of the trees, and you step into the water and you lie back on this raft, and it is so comfortable. And your feet and your hands are just dangling into the cool, clear water. And you start to drift. You start to drift as you smoothly flow with the flow of the river, moving down the river and just enjoying that dappling sun through the overhead trees and noticing a light, cool breeze. And you know in this moment that whichever way the river carries you, it's okay, because you feel safe and you feel protected here and you feel loved. And you realize in this moment that there is so much freedom and surrender to the flow of the river, even when you don't know what is around the bend. You know to trust, you know the freedom that this surrender gives you. And just imagine now that you've arrived in a little pool in the river, and it's surrounded by rich moss. And there is a magnificent waterfall coming down one side of this pool. And you decide to stand up underneath this waterfall and let the pressure of the waterfall pummel against the crown of your head. Just relishing this delicious pressure of the massaging clear water pouring down, sending signals of relaxation right down through your skull, around the muscles of your face, smoothing down through cheeks, allowing the jaw to really soften, feeling that lovely pummeling relaxation flowing down through your neck and your shoulders, feeling that river of relaxation flowing down through the chest and over your belly and down through arms and legs and into fingers and toes, again and again, waves of relaxation, body feeling more and more relaxed, all the way into fingers and toes, feeling now just underneath the skin surface of the whole of your body, bringing about a feeling of deep inner relaxation and concentrating on the energetic body, developing an awareness of the whole of your body from the top of your head to the very tips of your toes, complete awareness and stillness, awareness of the whole relaxed body, and allowing the breath to slow and become silk-like now, refined and silk-like. Just feeling the gentle rise and fall of the belly. And as you breathe in, just imagine there is peace from this tranquil valley around you, connecting with and nourishing the peace that is deep, deep inside of you. And as you exhale, just imagine that any residual tension in the body, any attachments, any suffering is just washing away. Smooth, rhythmic breath. And just imagining now that you have stepped out from underneath the waterfall and you're sitting underneath one of the beautiful trees, feeling the soft grass underneath you, feeling the coolness of the air against your exposed skin, feeling the vibrancy of the whole of your body. The trillions and trillions of cells that make up the whole of your body, tapping into the prana, the life force that is always there, always moving through the body. And just imagining the blue, blue sky above, the green, green grass around you. And noticing now a leaf drop off the tree above you and watching the leaf float from the left to the right, to the left, to the right, and to the left, and to the right as the leaf slowly drops down onto the lush green grass in front of you. And just imagine you have picked up this leaf and taking your hands together now, start to rub this imaginary leaf between your hands, just noticing the warmth of the hands, and start to rub a little bit faster and a little bit faster still until you start to create heat and energy. And we are waking up the left and right hemispheres of the brain as we rub the hands even faster, creating this delicious heat between the hands. And then just taking the hands a little bit apart and feeling that energy you have created between the palms, and then placing those hands just over your eyes. See if you can feel that energy, that heat pressing down into your eye sockets, almost into your brain. And then slowly, as you take your hands away, just slowly start to open the eyes. And really blink the eyes and open them. Stretch your eyebrows, slowly taking the hands away. And then giving yourself a bit of a stretch. Just slowly starting to mobilize. And when you're ready, just gathering your knees together and rolling over off your props. If you're super comfortable and you just want to stay there for a bit longer, then please do stay. Otherwise, just coming and sitting just like we started, with the spine nice and straight and with your head perfectly positioned on top of your neck. See if you can find that place where there's no holding. And you feel broad through the chest and you feel nice and heavy through the shoulders. And just taking the hands into the heart center. And I thought we'd finish our practice with some Om. So it's a low vibrational humming sound. You can just hum if that feels better for you. And as you breathe in, draw the breath up your spine. And as you exhale and create the sound, imagine it's like that waterfall just pouring down, the energy flowing through your body. So breathing in together. And again, just tapping into the feeling of you at this moment in time. Breathing into the heart center, feeling a light growing at the heart center as you breathe. And when you're in that place in you where the universe dwells, and when I am in that place in me, then we are one. And the love and light in me bows to the love and the light in you. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you, Linda.